Hi everyone! I'm going to talk about the beautiful Modern Renaissance palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. This was the first time in a really long time that I got a crush on a palette. I saw it and I know like I need this palette. This palette is inspired by the Renaissance, and if you haven't seen it before, it has these fantastic like pinky rusty colors. It's so obvious what was done with this one, because let's talk about the Renaissance. From like the beginning of the 1400s in Italy, there was this like cultural movement, I would say, that kind of enlightened people. It started in the 1400s in Italy, then moved across Europe until like the 1600s. And within this time, people were like enlightened with all this new information. Renaissance is French for rebirth. So it was a time of rebirth. People developed. A lot of focus on developing like the mind and emotion and like a whole new chapter. It happened so much in Europe during that time, and it kind of marked the line between the dark Middle Ages and what we would call like the early modern age, you would say. And in this time a lot happened in the arts. These colors were used a lot in the paintings around this time. As the palette is called Modern Renaissance, I would say that the addition to like these classic Renaissance colors that you would see in all the old paintings, we have these beautiful pinks, for example. Pinks weren't just as popular or used, I think, at all. It's kind of the key that connects these beautiful Renaissance colors to the modern color scheme that we see in makeup today. So if we go through all the colors from like the beginning, I can show you, I can zoom you in and we can talk about them. And by the way, it comes with a little duo brush. This one is kind of good quality, but let's start with the first one that we have here on the corner. This one is called Tempera. Tempera was a painting technique that was used a lot in the old Renaissance paintings. You can see it, for example, in The Birth of Venus by Botticelli. Then you have Golden Ochre, the second color over there. Ochre was a pigment that was used in paintings back then. So it's a classic color of a classic pigment that was used. And then we have Vermeer over here. This one is named after Johannes Vermeer, a famous Renaissance painter. And he was the one who painted Girl with a Pearl Earring. And that's, I guess, why you have this pearly color. And then over here you have this nice mauvey color. It's called Buon Fresco. And that one is named after the painting technique as well, used back then. Fresco painting was used a lot in churches and stuff, using a type of plaster and then painting wet on that plaster. And then you have this color here called Antique Bronze. And I think it's a parallel to the bronze sculptures. And bronze was a typical like medium to work in with sculptures, and this is really the color of old bronze. And then over here you have the color called Love Letter, one of the colors that probably catch the most eyes. As the Renaissance was a really amorous and poetic time in history, the love letters as we know them, like classic poetic love letters, were probably originated from this time. And then we have Cypress Umber. Umber was also a pigment, often used in painting. Same thing with Raw Sienna. Sienna is also a classic pigment used in the Renaissance paintings. Then you have this one called Burnt Orange. Burnt orange doesn't have any like actual connections to the period of time, but the color itself is like a typical one that you can often see in the old paintings. And then you have the beautiful gold there called Primavera. And Primavera was a painting by Botticelli as well. So 2 Botticelli shades in this palette. Then you have Red Ochre over there as well. So another ochre shade. You have this one and you have the one up here. That's like 2 shades of the natural ochre pigment that you can find in these old paintings. Same thing about Venetian red. Venetian red is a classic color that was used in the paintings, often mixed with like a pale limey white to create skin tones, like pale white skin tones. You often used a shade of Venetian red to create these colors, so it's a really fun one. The one called Warm Taupe, another one that doesn't have any connections like name-wise with something, but another typical color. This one is really typical for the period of time. And the last one called Realgar, and that one is also a pigment. Yeah, so that's the beautiful palette. As you can hear, all of them have these different meanings to them. There's a purpose to almost every single shade name in this palette, and it's so beautiful. I got my palette from Beautybay. I paid about £45 for it. So in all you get 14 shades in here. 3 of them are like classic shimmers. Those are more like of the brighter, sparkler shimmers. You have Venetian red, which has this soft sheen. This is so beautiful and like mild, not overdone in a way. So it's really beautiful. It wants some dimension but still no glitter on the eyes. So that one is beautiful. And then you have the one called Tempera up here as well. This one is also a satin. The rest of them are all matte. The formula is beautiful, as you could see on the swatches. It's a great palette. I love this one. I really love it, and I'm so happy I did it. I'm gonna start by using burnt orange on a fluffy brush and put it in my crease a bit. There we go, a bit better. I'm using the blending brush from Åhléns. Actually a fantastic brush. It's really huge and it looks like it would be a horrible mess to use, but it works really well to just fluff products on when you want it to just blend itself basically. I'm gonna take the Real Techniques 203, this little thing, and use the same shade and just use it under my eyes. I'm kind of focusing it on the middle, not too much on the outer corner there. So I think I'm gonna put something else there. There we go, we have burnt orange on. I think I'm gonna go in using red ochre today. This nice color. This is the Sueva 227 Soft Designer, the synthetic version. This one you just like push things on and they look great immediately. You don't have to worry about any harsh edges. And I'm using these on a bare eyelid today, so no primers or anything. This is just plain eyeshadow on the lid. Going back in with that Real Techniques brush that I used into red ochre. And no fall down yet. That's really cool. Then it's time for, let's see, I'm gonna go into Primavera, the nice golden shade, and use the same brush. Just push that on the inner corners. And I'll do the same thing on the lower lash line. And I'll just go in with a bare brush. This one is like a cheapo eBay thing. So just something fluffy that will blend things out. And then to zhuzh things up one step further, I'm going into the hot pink there called Love Letter, on the same fluffy brush that we used for the crease. I'm really into pinks at the moment, and they work so nicely with all these warm burnt colors. And then with a smaller angled brush, this one is the Larenim Angled Brow something, and going into Love Letter again, and pushing it into the outer corner and lower, or upper lash line rather. So we get sort of a liner effect. And then I'm stopping right where the gold starts. And this is where we're at the classic panda stage, which we always reach in my tutorials for some reason. It's really easy to get scared of a smoky eye when it starts to look like a panda, but things tend to like plan out a bit when you get your mascara on there later. So we'll fix it. Then I'm just pushing some onto the lower lash line there as well. And going back in with that blender, and this time I'm actually gonna take some of the tempera color up there. It's like a soft satin beige. And just swoosh that back and forth. Keep going when you think that nothing happens, because sooner or later it will. Blending is key, as always. I'll just curl my lashes and do some mascara. I'm gonna put some Kiko pencil on my waterline as well, just to get away like some of the redness. There we go, mascara and eye stuff on. I think I'm gonna do a little dab of gloss on my lips as well. This is the Kevyn Aucoin Blood Roses. And then I'm just gonna put some bronzer on my cheeks. There we go. Smoky, pinky thing with the beautiful Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. If there's one palette to get this season, I would say get this one. You will be so happy with it. If you like these warm colors, then you can do no wrong. This is so fantastic. Just go for it. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching today. I really hope you enjoyed this kind of different video. So leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Bye.